Welcome to part 2 of the Chloe email newsletter template. You will always be given a cheat sheet when you're given an assignment to edit a newsletter template. So that cheat sheet is this text file here that says what we want all the headers to be, what we want the text to be, and what we want the content blocks to be. So I wrote that one, so I know, but it specifies that we want 3 text and image content blocks in the middle. So let's look at our design blocks and I'll tell you what we'll call each. This over on the left, the top, is the header image. Then we have a right image, left image, a double image, double text, and the call to action, as well as the footer. The call to action is the only one that isn't immediately intuitive, and that's this big black block with the button. Now, this text file says that we want 3 content blocks with a text and image. So we will always want our images to go at this zigzag. So when we add in the third, given that this one here is on the left, we'll want this image on the right. So we grab the right image. We don't want it there. We don't want it there. We want it precisely here. Now, this cheat sheet also says that we want a call to action. I know it does because I wrote it. And let's drag the call to action. It'll always be right after the last content block and right above the footer. Okay, now the low-hanging fruit. Let's change this to idealty, and let's change the base copyright to idealty. Now, let's do the images second. Now, I'll show you that I have this Photoshop help file for us that'll also be in the same folder that the text file for the link here was. But the reason for that, and I'll show you, is if we go over here to click and edit this image on the pencil icon, we don't want to do anything with the style, so we click the Image tab. Upload a new image. If we upload any arbitrary image, it will smush the image to fit those proportions. So say we do this, which is just a picture of our print magazine, and I click Apply Changes, it'll smush it horizontally. There it doesn't look that bad, but oftentimes it really does. So say I want to undo that or did something very bad, really only when it's very bad, because this refreshes the whole content block. So we wouldn't want to do it after altering the text, so to speak. But I'll show you right now that if you make the mistake of copying the text, let's see, Command C, and then going over and trying to paste the text in with Command V, that the whole box will disappear. So A, don't do that. B, if you do, that's a bummer because you'll have to reset and you'll lose, say, the image if you already adjusted the image. So don't copy and paste. You'll want to bring the text document parallel and just type what you see on the left side into the right side. So now, because we want that image to be the right proportion, I have it laid out over here in this template. If you'll see, we have this organized nicely into layers. We have call to action, left image, right image, and header. I've already placed the right image that I want here, and so when you are placing it yourself, you'll go image right, and then you would click File, Place, and then just notice that it's on this clipping mask to that rectangle below. So if I release the clipping mask, you'll see it goes over the boundaries. We want it to clip right there because that was the whole point, that it would be these proportions. Now, to save this image and bring it back over the web file, we have 2 options. One is to select both these layers, both the mask and the image, right-click, click Duplicate Layers, and send it to a new Photoshop document. If you send it to a new Photoshop document, and it's easier this way, then you could, just using the marquee tool, select it and image crop, and then save that out as a JPEG. But the danger with that is sometimes you can get some white space on the right side, as that showed. So if you're comfortable with it and just be a little careful, you can do it straight on the template itself and then undo it after we do the crop. So we'll do image crop. That'll just crop the Photoshop file down to the image of that size. We're going to export it as a JPEG, and then we're going to upload that as the image. This is presuming you're doing it all from scratch. Perhaps I would have done this prior, but it's going to depend on what the weekly schedule looks like for me, how much prep I'll be able to put into it. So I'm going to do Command Option Shift S, which is the save as JPEG control, and we will export that. Let's say write image, and that's in the document, and then we would go over here, same thing. Now we'll want to upload the image that we just saved, which is over here as write image. Apply changes to make it actually happen, and there you see we have it. Now let's do the left image just to reinforce that concept, and then I'll show you how to change this color block in the button color, because that's kind of a bitch. Again, we did this, but we want to get our template back, right? So let's step backwards, or Command Z. Let's do that until we see the entirety of the template again. And now we're back. Okay, so let's change the header image. I will likely have the header image already laid out for you, or I'll send it to you in the folder, etc. Just because I often like doing a little bit of a saturation and opacity adjustment to it. In the event that I don't have the chance to do it, just notice what was done so that you can do it yourself. Let's say we set this opacity to 100 and have the image at 100. We're going for kind of a muted, grayed out look a little bit. So let's put this opacity to 66, and let's turn on this hue and saturation, which will desaturate it a little bit. I'll keep that filter in there so that you know and can use it if you want. In which case you would just place the image here. You would put the opacity of the image at like 66 and then activate this filter. So now if you see, we have the navigation here and the header text here. So we'll want to momentarily hide both if we want to do the crop right here. And we can do the crop right there, image, crop. This is only taking so long because I'm also running the video screen capture software, so just give it a second. Then we will want to export that, and we'll say header image. Now we might as well just undo all that right now so that we can get back to our full template, because we'll have to anyways. And then let's go back over to here and let's insert the header image. So we go up here and we see, oh, there's no option to do so. That's only on these blocks that they give you this easy little thing. When it's a full section, like this for instance, you see if we wanted to place an image there, there's no upper right. If it's a full width section like this, you're going to have to go over this panel on the left that pops up. The one that controls the background is that drop, and we are going to click change. From our desktop, we're going to get our header image, apply background, and there we are. Now let's change this. We consult our cheat sheet and we see our sections are circa 922, Zach Redden, and Voyager. So that's a double click. That's simple. I showed you that before. This is welcome Zach Redden, and this is Voyager New Year's. I added the New Year's. We'll always give you the text exactly so that you're not left to infer anything. Now, if you'll notice the Photoshop file, I specified what color I want that block to be, and that is definitely different from this red. So how do I edit that? I go up here and I right click, right, because that's an option when it's these 2 by something blocks rather than this full width. And that color here, I go over to my Photoshop file, I click on the color, that brings up the eyedropper, I click on that, I'll copy this color code, because that's the gold that I think looks best with this that we'll be using. So then you go over here and you paste that color code, choose apply changes, and there you go. Now the issue being this button. Let's click this. Now this is actually the text. So while that's intuitive, that's not what we want to change. It's actually kind of a bitch to change this button color, but I'll show you how to do so. So first, what color do we want it? We consult our Photoshop document. Again, let's use the eyedropper. Click on the color, then click over here, and this is it. So I'll leave that up there because I'll show you the way that we have to do this button is actually a little bit backwards. We have to go over here on the left and we actually have to edit the HTML code for the button. That's a fault in this template. So click on the code. Now mind you, we're looking for a caps lock shop now. So we scroll down on the code until we see a caps lock shop now. I see it here. Go to the left and we see these 3 RGB color values. That specifies the color of that. So let's go back over here. We're looking at this view of our color, and that's our R, RG, and RB. So 229, 206, 138. 229, 206, 138. 229, 206, and it'll update in real time, so it should approach the color that you want, 138. And there we've done precisely what we want. Double check, 229, 206, 138. And yes, so then you can just click off the screen and that'll update. So that's what we wanted to do there. Now, let's finish with these images. So I'll note that the grays will always stay the same. It's just the color block that you want to change. Let's update the images. So I've already done so for these images. So I showed you how to do it in terms of getting it the right size. Now I have these already saved the right size. Oh, that evidently is not. See? So that's an example of one that I did before I made it the right size, and you see the smushing. It looks like the one that I saved the right size is specified Zach newsletter. And apply changes. There's no distortion there. So a refresher on how I did that, you would go over to image left, for instance, left image. You would go where the mask is, take the current image that's there off. Let's place that bad image was the Zach bus stop, right? So we'll place the Zach bus stop, we'll size it down to scale, and let's put on this clipping mask and then place it. Okay, so that's how we want it. Now let's zoom in, we'll crop it right there. Image crop. That'll take a second, and then again we would save that JPEG out. I'm going to click cancel because we don't need to actually do that. Now, having done the top and having done the left, we have the other one to do here. So this one I have also already prepared, and this is under Voyager newsletter, I believe. Voyager cropped, there we are. And apply changes, remember that's a necessary step. So we've added those 3 blocks, now let's change the CTA. Okay, so the CTA is, let's just keep our layers organized here and close what we're not using. The CTA, call to action over here, again, the same thing we did with the header, we're going to want to turn off everything that isn't the image itself because we're doing a capture on this image, right? So let's turn off all these guys, and then we can click M or grab the marquee tool, and we're going to do a crop on this image. It'll take a second, but I need it to because I haven't prepared this image. Maybe in the meantime I'll go back here and I will specify that we need to change this. I'll show you how to update these links. Okay, this looks like it's done. That was a bad excuse for trying to kill time. Now we'll save this out. Let's save this as call to action footer. And let's go over here. Again, I would probably prepare that one for you as well because that has a saturation adjustment, and the image itself is also at 28% opacity on this gray background. So I'll bring that up in the event that I ask you to do it. You should place the image right under this saturation layer and then put the opacity at like 30%, just because we don't want it to overpower the text that's in the foreground here. So we do precisely that. We export it. We did that. We saved it. Now we go over. Again, in the upper right, it's not the option because it's a full width section. We need to go to this drop here. We want to upload an image, and this is the call to action footer. Apply background, and that applies. Okay, so we have a close to done. Let's go over to our cheat sheet now and just place the text. So let's say that Preston or Maria or something had added these in bold. Well, first thing, we don't want to copy and paste, right? But let's just unbold these with Command B and unbold. And then, because we won't be bolding anything in the newsletter, and we wouldn't want to accidentally do so. So we'll bring this over here. We'll bring this over here, say, and let's edit this text. So again, we're going to want to click here and type it out, because if we copy and paste, remember, it disappears, and we're going to have to refresh that block, and we'll lose this image that we already placed there. So let's just go in here. We have obstructed visibility, but who cares? Our managing broker. And then just bang away. Okay, now we've done that. It will specify the link. This one doesn't, but let's say it'll specify what to say. Let's say, check it out. Let's change this link to read up on Zach. And now, how do we change where this link goes to? Let's click the edit here, which, why isn't that doing anything for me at the moment? Let's click the edit here. Oh boy, it's being a little bitch. Uh-oh. Okay, so if it's being a pain in the ass, we're going to have to go this code way again. So what are we looking for right now? We're looking for a check it out. And the code way is being a pain in the ass too.